Welcome to INOvators, a series where we sit down with thought leaders across the healthcare space to discuss some of the industry's most pressing topics. Joining me today is Todd Sharp, Field CTO and Principal of Global Healthcare and Life Sciences at AWS, and a longtime and return INOvators guest to talk about the modern workforce and leadership in the age of adaptive and agentic AI. Always great to reconnect with you, Todd.
Always great to connect with you too. Thank you for the invite back.
Of course. So since you were last on the show, tell me a little bit about what's changed the fastest in how organizations are thinking about AI and workforce enablement.
A few things have changed more rapidly than others, but everything is still changing. Over the last several months, as we've rolled into the end of 2025 and boards and leaders have been doing 2026 planning, they've all made kind of a common comment. That comment is, the world and the earth is moving beneath our feet, but unlike past years, it's all moving in every direction all at once. That's a little disorienting. AI is part of that disorientation, but we're seeing right now, 1 in 4 companies making investments not only in AI and machine learning, but they're making investments in agentic AI. They're moving from generative AI that you write prompts to actually having self-fulfilling agents that are able to do tasks on their own autonomously.
And we're hearing a lot about agentic AI, but before we get too far into that, can we talk about the difference between AI agents and agentic AI, and then what makes this different from the co-pilots that everyone is kind of used to these days?
Sure. Most of the generative AI and co-pilots, the thing that was really revolutionary 3 years ago was when you could, as a normal mortal, type into something and get a reasonable response back. That's really more the co-pilots that are monitoring in real time, working with us, responding to our input. AI agents, by contrast, can have very narrow band programming that allows them algorithmically to achieve and complete tasks on our behalf without us even touching them, then return those responses for us to review. Think about document review, where you may have thousands of things that need to be reviewed or input at the same time, and then the exceptions go to human beings to look at versus the rest of it going through in an automated manner. Now, the next step of that is really going beyond AI agents into agentic AI, where these AI agents can work in concert to complete entire workflows and reasonably approximate human behaviors.
And you've been exploring how adaptive AI changes how organizations specifically are operating. What is the first area where companies are going to really need to evolve to unlock ROI around this?
We're seeing 3 areas where the investments are really making the most sense. The first one is certainly in administrative workflows and process reengineering. The second is in innovation in terms of training for people and partnering with AI as a team collaborator versus just using it as a tool. In fact, there's research out there that by Asana's Workforce Lab that demonstrates 33% greater ROI occurs when a human being interacts with AI as if it's a collaborative team member over just a tool that they're using. It releases a psychological bonding with the AI to achieve our objectives where we're actually giving it better input so it can be more responsive. And then the third area is R&D. I think this is really interesting in the United States based upon some of the contextual changes in tax law, where now companies doing R&D are able to accelerate their investments and accelerate their depreciation by 100%. We're expecting to see massive upticks in investments around AI and capital investments to unleash value in 2026 because of the tax law changes.
And are there any leadership behaviors that might need to change in this AI-empowered workforce, and any tips you might have for leaders to do a better job of adapting and really integrating AI?
Yeah, McKinsey had a great study that's looking at workforce skills and leadership skills. And most of the skills, if you look at a matrix of about 20 of the leading skills that are needed between now and 2050, because of the use of AI, we're actually looking at that shrinking, and those skills need to be much more sharp amongst leaders by 2030. The top right quadrant in that study was focused on by the World Economic Forum, and it's a lot of soft skills. So although we're becoming far more technical as a society and in commercial and public sector businesses, we're also becoming softer as leaders. We have to have greater empathy, we have to use our EQ more, we have to unleash creativity, and we have to have stronger communication skills, not only for our AI collaborative team members, but especially for the human beings. For leaders particularly, this means going from what may remain of hierarchical leadership and even moving through non-hierarchical leadership into becoming true sponsors. One of the best things that we've seen leaders be able to do is to demonstrate their own vulnerability and how they're using AI and what has succeeded, but more importantly, what's delivered suboptimal outcomes that were unexpected. That vulnerability helps inspire organizations to release their own innovations within safe guardrails and low-cost experimentation to drive that innovation.
Absolutely. I like that point of the vulnerability in leadership. Being able to see that is certainly going to make an individual contributor maybe feel a little more comfortable in trying out some of these practices, which does lead me to my next point. For an individual contributor, what is the smartest way to increase contribution, stay relevant as autonomous AI agents are becoming more common?
Yeah, one of the things is there was a lot of discussion about whether you're going to be replaced by AI or not. And what we see far more of is you're going to be replaced by somebody who uses AI better than you do. So one, learn AI, advocate for exposures, experiment in non-costly ways that have no necessarily bad impact, but make sure you learn and you're upskilling. Make sure that you're helping others. Make sure that what you're doing is observable so that it is known. Don't just work in a vacuum. Make sure that your team and collaborators know that you are not only observable, but you're there as a reference and a resource to support them on their journeys. That's some of the things that we see ICs being able to do. But we also, at Amazon, we have a saying. No one's really an IC, right? There are leadership teams within Amazon, but we looked at every IC, individual contributor, as a leader themselves. So within those things that you have as your tasks and your goals, be that leader and share it with those members on your team.
And as we look ahead, what is something that feels almost like science fiction today, but you think is going to be the norm in organizations by the end of the decade?
As administrative as this may seem, dynamic work charts in favor of organizational charts. We are seeing teaming take on a new phase of development and deployment across enterprises. You are valued for your experience, your knowledge, and your capability as an individual, as are the AIs that you are working with. And what is going to happen between those agents and those humans is that you're going to more readily, dynamically recouple for certain business processes over time rather than reporting into the same hierarchical team. We're seeing those shifts occur now, and we're actually seeing organizations placing nearly 70% more investment in agentic AI than they are in other forms of automation in anticipation of helping their teams make that turn.
And Todd, before we wrap up today, you always leave us with something inspirational, motivational. So anything you want to say before we close out today?
One thing I think that's important as we continue along this journey is that people realize as enterprises become 24/7 autonomous and as AI bleeds into the background and blends, helping us manage more and more of our daily lives and our personal lives as well, it's not going to be the organizations that have the most AI that are going to succeed. It's going to be the ones that do the best job of blending human capabilities with AI's capabilities to generate the most value. So I would advocate that those are the areas in which individuals and leaders need to focus to make sure that they're on the leading edge of the curve.
All right. Well, Todd, I appreciate it, and I'm sure all of our viewers do as well. Thank you so much for being here today and for yet another great conversation. Can't wait to do it again soon.
I look forward to the same time next year, and thanks for everything you do to help us understand these things across the industry of innovation.
Of course. Thank you.